Hey everyone, Random Randy here. This is going to be a quick little tutorial about how to make the Squircle or squared circle granny square. You're going to want two different colors of yarn, at least two. You might want to do more if you want to do the circle in the center with multiple colors, but I think it's easier to just use a scrap to make the center and then do the edging in another color. You will also want a pair of scissors, and if you're using worsted weight yarn, you can use any size hook from an H to a K hook, which is a 5mm up to a 6.5. It all depends on how drapey you want your square to be and how big you want it to be. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using a J hook or a 6mm hook. And I'm using a Susan Bates hook because I just like the way the inline hooks work better. So to start off, you need to decide which color is going to be in the middle, and this tutorial assumes that you know how to do single crochet, half double crochet, and a double crochet. If you don't know how to do those, I do have a Crochet Crash Course 101 video that will teach you all of those basic stitches, so if you're not super comfortable with them, you can go back and watch that to practice. Or you can dive right in here because I will be explaining the stitches a few times as we're going through it. Magic ring, if you don't know, I hold the yarn between my thumb and my first finger, wrap the yarn around 3 fingers, cross over this yarn here so that you have an X, reach through underneath with your hook, grab the yarn and pull it through so that it is on here, and that has the same effect as chaining 2. And then doing a slip stitch to join it into a ring. Now we're going to be working into the center of this. So we're going to start off by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to do 12 double crochets into the center of the ring. And everything in this tutorial is in US or American crochet terms. So if you don't know how to do a double crochet, you wrap the yarn over your hook, put it through your stitch, or in this case the ring, grab the yarn and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 on the hook, yarn over again, go through the middle 2, yarn over once more, and pull through the last 2. Show you that slow one more time, and then we'll finish off the round. Yarn over the hook, through the stitch, yarn over and pull up your 3rd loop, yarn over once more, go through your center 2, yarn over and go through your last 2. In these rounds, by the way, your beginning chain 3 does not count as a stitch, so that will help you keep your count where it should be. So we've got 1, 2, 3 stitches and we need 12, so go ahead and finish up the next 9 and I will meet you at the end of the round. Now we have 12 and you'll have your magic ring hanging open like this. If you've done it with a chain 2 and slip stitched it together, you won't have this, but if you do, you're going to grab your yarn tail and you're going to just gently pull. Might take a couple of times. And you're going to tighten it down until your space in the middle is completely gone. And then you are going to slip stitch into the top of your first double crochet. Not into the top of the chain 3, but into the first double crochet. That chain 3 really just helps you get to the height of your row, and it makes it so that you won't have as big of a gap as if you treated the chain 3 as a stitch. So now we're going to round 2, and it's going to be very similar to round 1. We're going to start off by chaining 3. you're going to go back into that same stitch. You're going to do 2 double crochets. You're going to do 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around to the end. So at the end of the row, you should have 24 double crochets, and you will also have your beginning chain 3. So go ahead and finish up round 2, and I will meet you at the end of it. And now once you've reached the end of round 2, you're going to slip stitch yet again into the top of your first double crochet. The slip stitch, you just poke your hook through the stitch, yarn over, pull it through the stitch, and through the loop on your hook. Now we're going to do the third round of the center circle part. Starts off the same as the last 2 rows. You're going to chain 3. Put 1 double crochet into that same first space as the chain 3. Going to do 2 double crochets in the next space. And you're going to repeat the pattern of 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch until you reach the end of the round. And that should give you 36 stitches when you are all done. So go ahead and finish up your pattern of 1 double crochet followed by 2 double crochets, and I will meet you at the end of row 3. And now we are down to our last 2 stitches. 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets into the last space. And now, like all the rows prior to it, we're going to slip stitch into this first one. But before we do that, going to cut the yarn. I like to leave a tail that's about 4 to 6 inches long for weaving it in because I don't feel like just tying a knot is secure enough. I don't completely trust it, even if it is a square knot. So we've got this here. And for your slip stitch, after you pull it through the stitch and the loop on your hook, just give it a tug all the way through so the end pops out. And now that is secure, and we are going to partly crochet over this end as we go, but I still like to leave a little bit of extra there just for some more security. I can say with pride that I have never had a crocheted item I've made for somebody unravel, so I think I'm probably doing something right. Alright, so now we're going to add on whatever your border color is. In this case, I have a leftover chunk of a Premier Sweet Roll. This is the Mint Swirl colorway. I think that the orange and the green go well together, kind of has a hunter theme to it. So we're going to, as before, make a slip knot with the yarn, leaving a bit of a tail. Put it on the hook, cinch it down, and now you can start your first round, which is going to square up the circle, in any stitch that you want. I like to do it in the stitch just before where we fastened off. I feel like that helps hide it the best. So you're just going to put it in here, and I like to use the tail and the working yarn for my first chain stitch. Actually, that was the slip stitch. But then, as before, you're going to chain 3, And this will cinch down closer to this once you're working on it. And you're going to actually start your first corner in this stitch on this double crochet. So you're going to make one more double crochet, which will be the first half of your corner. In the circular rounds, the chains at the beginning did not count as a stitch, but in these border rounds for squaring it up, it will count. So you have your chain and your double crochet. That is the first half of your corner. Now you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to put 2 more double crochets in that very same stitch. It's going to seem like it's kind of a tight fit, but it will work, trust me. There's 1, there's 2, and that is your first corner stitch right there. Now, in the next stitch, which is not the chains from the previous row, you're going to go into the double crochet, the next double crochet. You will do 1 more double crochet here. As you can see, I'm holding my tails. I'm going to go over them for a few stitches. I don't like to do it a lot and assume that the ends are completely woven in that way, because just like with a square knot, I don't completely trust it. So now that we've done the corner and the first double crochet, you're going to do a half double crochet into the next stitch, which is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over one more time, so there's 4 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull through all 3. Now you're going to do 1 more half double, which is yarn over through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now I'm going to drop the tails so that I still have enough left to weave them in later. You're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, which is through the stitch, pull up a loop, so there's 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through both loops, 1 more single crochet through the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. Now you're going to do a half double crochet into the next stitch, 1 more half double crochet. Now you're going to do a double crochet, and then you are going to start your second corner, which is very similar to your first corner, except that this will have 4 double crochets instead of the chain stitches. So we'll do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. And that is your second corner. Now we're going to do this next side to the corner exactly like this portion before, so I will go through it with you one more time. So the next stitch after the corner is a double crochet. After that, 1 half double, another half double, 1 single, 2 singles, a half double, another half double, and a double. If I'm going too quickly for you at any time, feel free to pause the video and catch up. I will also have written instructions on the screen for each row as I'm going along, so feel free to pause it and write it down if you need to, if that makes it easier. So now we are to corner number 3, which is just like the last corner. It will be 2 double crochets into the same stitch, chain 2, and put 2 more double crochets right in that same stitch. So that is corner number 3. Now we're going to head to corner number 4 and finish off this first round, this first square round, which sounds really weird. But anyway, next stitch is a double crochet. Then we have 1 half double, another half double, a single crochet, a single crochet, another half double, 1 more half double, a double crochet, and now we're ready to do that last corner. And a corner, just like the last 2, is 2 double crochets, 1, 2, chain 2, 2 more double crochets into that very same space. Now to finish this off, we'll be doing a double crochet into the next stitch, a half double crochet, another half double, 1 single, another single, a half double, a half double. As you can see, it works out perfectly because our last stitch will be a double crochet. Now we're going to join to the top of this chain 3 that we did initially at the beginning of the row. We're going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain that we made at the beginning. And now, if you really were feeling scrappy and wanted to use up very small portions of yarn, you could do another color around the outside of this circle, or you can keep going with the same yarn. To keep going, rather than cutting it off and tying it, I like to slip stitch through the next double crochet and 1 more slip stitch to get right into that corner where the chain 2 was. Now, to start the final and 5th round of the entire square, 2nd border round, chain 3, we're going to do a double crochet into that same space because we are creating our first corner, chain 2, 2 more double crochets right in that same space. This entire round will be comprised of double crochet stitches. Now your next stitch is actually going to go right here into the top of that 3rd stitch in your corner from the last row. You don't want to put it here because then your count will be off. You might even have accidentally covered it with your stitches here. So just slide it over so you can see that teeny little bit of the bar right there. So you're going to put a double crochet into there and in every stitch across until you get to the corner space, 2nd corner space. So we have gone all the way across and reached where our 2nd corner is going to go. And just like in the last round, this is going to be 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets in that same space. And now moving right along, going into, yet again, this space that is right here for that 3rd double crochet in the corner. Make sure you put 1 in there. And all the way across to the 3rd corner. Now we are at the 3rd corner. Just like before, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 more double crochets. And again, making sure to get into that top of that first double crochet before moving on. And just continue until you get around to your beginning chain 3, and I will meet you up there and show you how to fasten off your Squircle granny square. Now to show you how to finish off here. In this case, you will be making a stitch in the top of the chain 3 because for the outer rounds we have counted it as a stitch. So there's your last double crochet, and now you are going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of your starting chain. And just like before, cut your yarn. And I like to slip stitch through the next stitch just for some extra security. Pull it all the way through. Then you kind of flatten it out a bit, and there we go. That is your Squircle or squared circle granny square. And just to show you the difference in sizes based upon your hook size, this entire square was done with a J or a 6mm hook. And this square is done with a 6.5mm or a K hook. As you can see, it is slightly bigger, not a lot bigger, but a little bit, and that extra 1/4 inch of size might make a difference in the end result of whatever you are making with it. So I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you. It is a beginner-friendly tutorial, and the counting gets easier the more of them you do. I personally like to make a whole bunch of the center circles and then add the outsides onto them as I see fit. I find it goes a lot quicker that way for me. You can do it however you want to. It's a good way to use up scraps that might not look the best in a striped scrap blanket or scrap scarf or whatever else you're making to use up ends and bits and bobs of things left over from other projects. So if you found this content useful or helpful, feel free to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more tutorials and other yarny, chatty stuff. And if you know somebody else who's trying to learn how to crochet, don't hesitate to share this video with them so that you can pass along the love of learning. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This is Random Randy, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!